Welcome to another episode of Money in the Bank with Frank. Today I figured we would talk a little bit about the rising corporate debt and financial issues that we have with commercial real estate. And also starting off talking a little bit about the internship and an update on the internship with young Alec here. So let's take a look at that. So we had a great opportunity yesterday. I have transitioned from the working handed guy that has like calluses on his fingers to a callus where the pen goes. So when Alec's father reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? I'm waiting for the ask to be like, hey, let's go move some furniture for me while I'm out of town." But no, instead he said, "Hey, Alec needs a suit." I was like, I can get behind that one. That's totally what I was into that one. Yeah. So we took a little trip yesterday to clothe young Alec here for his first, I want to call it professional suit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How was that experience?
It was
overall?
Great. Yeah. I mean, I have a weird body type, I guess. It was hard to find something that fit, but it was just felt very professional trying everything on. And my old suit I got like 3 years ago. I wear it to all my events, everything I go to, and it's way too small. I look really weird in it. So it was about time I got something that actually fit me well. So it was a cool experience for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when I got my first suit, I filled out much later in life. I was probably 27 when I really started to put on any kind of mass. But as I did, I realized that, broad shoulders are tough to clothe because it takes a lot of material, right?
Yeah.
And so you learn real quick that off the rack doesn't really work. I think this is probably your last off the rack type of suit because, your body type. And what I found pretty fascinating, so we ended up going to a Nordstrom's and the first thing I did when I walked in there, first of all, I jumped him. He had no idea what we were even doing. So I drug him out, brought him to the Nordstrom's. And
drugged him?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I brought him with me over to the Nordstrom's, and first thing I did was I'm looking for the old man. I'm looking for the old suit guy, And the reason for that is very simple. The younger generation has no idea what a person's body type should look like in a suit. Everyone's like party boy outfits at this point, I want the old guy. I want the traditional old guy that's going to come out and understands that this one is still growing, right? Mm-hmm. And also the fact that, with someone like him, you don't need shoulder pads, right? You don't need a high peak that's going to emphasize more on his shoulders. He's already got broad shoulders. And you have to be able to taper it in, but not too much because he's still growing. And so, the young guy didn't get it. He didn't see it. And that was obvious when we went in and he was getting fitted, that there was another young man there that had his mother was with him. And, he was there for his first professional suit. He got hired at one of the bigger banks in the area. And the question out of the person, the clothier who was fitting him, out of his mouth was like, well, what color do you want? And he didn't even hear the guy said, this is his first job in banking. Okay, you're getting a navy suit. You're getting a dark suit. That's it. There's no choice. What color? No. How about, why don't we talk about, based on why you're here, what you should be getting? And I figured out that right there is just one extra jump that you have by having an internship young.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to have that question when you're graduated from college and you're trying to figure out where you want to go. You already know. You've already got that ahead of you. So It was fun to see. It was fun to participate in. I got to thank your dad for letting me have that moment with you, because that was fun.
It was super fun. Yeah.
So what'd you think about the different suits?
Different suits. There's definitely a big variety of like the type of suits and material. I had no idea. Literally, I got one suit before. I know nothing about suits, so I learned a lot. Frank knows a lot about suits, so he knew more than the guy. So
most of the time, I'm wearing a t-shirt. Maybe it has a hole in it. Maybe there's a stain. But when it comes to suits, I'm a big fan, so I'll pay attention. That's good. That's good. So we also had we've had a couple of informational interviews, and you've gotten some more out of that. What since last week and you had your last call? What other things have you noticed? What other things have you learned this week?
From one of my interviews, I learned. Well, it was a short interview or call, but he talked about how you just gotta know like what people want, and you gotta know that you have to not tell them what like they want, but you have to kind of just nudge at it slowly until they figure out themselves. Like you talked about too, it might take years for them to realize, but you can't force it on them. The best way is just nudge at it, and you kind of gotta play the book in a way. You gotta like learn how to know what person you're talking to, know what they want, know like I guess their beliefs in a way, or just how to like kind of nudge them the right way. That's the biggest thing I learned from that call.
Yeah, good. So we're moving.
Yep.
We're making progress.
Getting there. Yeah, 1 month. 3 weeks left, I think. 2.5 weeks.
That's right. And in the meantime, he's been. How many jobs do you have?
Right now I have 2 other jobs and then a summer class. So it's been a pretty packed summer for sure.
You've seen a variety of different things. You've seen different industries. You've 100%. Heard different vocabularies, different lexicons. Is there anything in particular that is interesting you more than the other?
Definitely this is the most interesting because my other ones are just basic jobs. It's more like I learned like I have to like kind of change who I am each time I switch a job, because here I'm more professional, learning a lot. I have another job at a shoe store where it's more like everyone's my age, and then you're talking about like sneakerhead what's the word? Lingo, where it's like dead stock. It's just like you have to change the person you are. And then I don't know, it's been a very interesting, busy summer. So this has definitely been the most I've learned like in a 3-month period ever. So very grateful for it. Definitely a challenge, but it's always good to challenge yourself.
Good. Well, welcome, and I'm glad that we got that catch up.
On changing who you are based on where you are, Frank, I want you to speak to that a little. I think you probably encountered this a lot. You go to super high, like, what's the word? Like high society events, or where there's like, potential millions of dollars in the room, and then you come here. Check out the blog. But
it's fun. Honestly, like the thing that's the most important, the thing that I find the most fascinating is it doesn't matter what your net worth is. Everyone has the same basic needs, and the only difference is the number of zeros that are behind it. Whether you have a Mercedes or you have a Ford, it's still a vehicle and it's a way to work, and it all comes with a bill, right? Whether you wear your fancy watch or whether you wear your regular watch, those are just like status symbols for those that need to keep score, and people feel more comfortable around other people dressed in a similar fashion. And that's the same thing with speech, intonation, body language. You have to read the room, and you have to communicate at a level that other people want you to communicate with them. And again, that all depends on what your motivations are. If I'm at, a super fancy black tie event, but it's with my people, then, my personality's still going to be the same personality. But if it's a fancy place where I'm there to be a decoration myself, then yes, I play that role, right?
Have you ever been in a situation where someone's not reading the room?
All the time, but that's just fun. Then you can make your own story up and keep that, good thing. For those out there who get uncomfortable around people you don't know, or that don't really like being out in public because they're just uncomfortable and shy in general, one of the secrets that I learned at a very young age was do something early on that's ridiculous, like wear the most ridiculous underwear or something, right?
Yeah.
Have something that that other people don't know, because it's like a secret and you can kind of keep yourself amused. And when things like that happen, when you see somebody acting out of place because they didn't read the room right, it gives you pause to think, am I reading the room wrong? Or if not, then you can just follow that train wreck all the way through, you know?
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Why I never wear underwear.
I thought it's because you didn't know how to use the washing machine, but okay. All right.
That too. I just buy new packs. Or if I did wear underwear, I would just buy new packs every week.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Because that's, helping that's helping the green movement.
I literally use the washer every other day. I feel horrible about it. I just I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Oh, well, I'm sure they make medication for it. It's okay.
Alec, what were so your other job's at a sneaker store, and then what about the other one?
It's a clothing warehouse. So it's literally just a warehouse job, just opening, counting inventory, just dirty work. Yeah.
I'm curious, which one of these ventures pays the best?
That pays the best. The warehouse job pays the best. Otherwise, I would not be doing it. But yeah.
You learn anything life-wise working at a warehouse?
More so at the shoe store and warehouse. I just learned that I do not want to do that for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
It's a good college summer job. I need the money. So the biggest thing I learned is I love the shoe store. It's my brother owns the store, so I work with my brother. It's fun, but again, I wouldn't want to do that the rest of my life. And then same thing with the warehouse job. I wouldn't want to do that past this 2-week period. I think I'm done with it. But that's the biggest thing I learned with it. And met some great people, very nice people. The store is like all my brother's friends. So it's been fun. Yeah.
Cool. Just try and think of a little more with Alec, because I know the internet loves you, loves your perspective. You guys do have good dueling or juxtaposing perspectives, or a nice little mentor thing going on.
Well, I mean, I gotta have someone that's gonna take care of me when I'm old. So I gotta keep training up these interns so that someone will care about me.
Messi got you. Messi got you.
That's right.
Frank, what have you learned from Alec?
Patience. Honestly, it's been fun. It's been a fun ride because for the past 3 years, I haven't been in a corporate environment. I've been, as I say, coming here is about the closest I get to actual interaction from a face-to-face basis. So it is enjoyable having somebody around that I can bounce ideas off of and share misery with. Isn't it fun to be on hold for an hour and a half?
Yeah, it's not fun at all. Yeah, it sucks.
So all day long, it's what do? I sit on hold. You get used to hearing something in the background while you're sitting listening to hold music, and you'd be surprised at how much time that takes. And that's what that's the pain that I take from my clients, is fixing things that someone's going to eventually have to do. And what I've enjoyed watching Alec work on are the trivial, menial things that he does, and not just because it brings me enjoyment to watch him suffer, but also because realistically speaking, he's seeing that regardless of what we're doing at the time, what you're doing affects what someone else is doing nearby you. Right. So if you're on the phone and the shredder, there's a big pile of junk that you really are in the middle of shredding, maybe you shouldn't shred while you're on the phone. Right. But it's things that you don't think about until you actually have that happen. And the same thing with the shredding in general. Who wants to do that? That sucks. How much money are you making? It's not like you're working in a warehouse facility. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because actually my favorite jobs were working as a Kelly temp doing silly things like that. But legitimately, if you're billing at a high, super $100 an hour type of job,
yeah,
and you have a pile of stuff in the corner that needs to be shredded, you're still gonna have to shred it.
Yeah,
someone's got to do it.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter if you are the CEO of the biggest company. At some point, everyone does something menial. It's not all glamour and golf.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I realized too over the summer is even though you're very well off, it's just, yeah, you still got to do the dirty work, shred the stuff, be on hold for 4 hours, figuring out a problem that probably it's not worth your time, but you still got to do it. So that's definitely been a big thing I learned too, is no matter where you are in life, you still got to do the boring stuff that no one wants to do, unless you get someone to do it for you. But that's
which is really hard too. How's that work going on that storage unit?
It's getting along. Yeah, it's getting along. Trying to find some people to buy it, but yeah,
What items are in there?
everything you could think of. Yeah, it's
Soho, you should
Drums.
come shopping.
yeah, drum sets, old furniture. It's literally everything. Yeah,
You kept a drum set in a non-climate controlled.
yeah. It's actually my drum set.
And it is a
yeah,
climate
I used to
controlled.
do drumming.
Oh, it
for-
is climate controlled. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do drumming and then I stopped. But yeah, it's my drum set I've had for ever.
What kind of drum set?
I can't even tell you. It's been so long. It was a nice one. That's all I know. It was a good one.
So let's
Yeah.
let's walk this through for a minute. So my whole goal with the storage unit project was that as a person who is emotionally attached to some of this stuff from having grown up with it, I made it clear that it's very difficult to part with certain things. But if I haven't seen it and it's sitting in a storage unit, I probably wouldn't miss it anyway. However, it's not something that I'm comfortable at and I want to do. So I'm like, just go in there and sell everything. And, if I don't see it and I don't recognize it, or if I didn't tell you specifically not to get rid of it, it's easier for you to get rid of it than it would be for me emotionally.
Yep.
Now, I also thought that maybe he had some sentimental attachment to that drum kit. And so my goal, again, this is where everything always falls off the rails. It's like, it didn't mean the same thing to him that I thought it was, which was like maybe he wanted to keep it specifically because maybe he had some sentimental attachment to it, which is not the case. The case is he just didn't want to deal with it either. But I tried to explain to him, I was going to say, hey, look, here, if this drum kit was worth, we'll say $1,000, if after 4 years you get out of college and you decide that you want that drum set and you've paid $200 a month for storage of this, how much money would you have spent in storage, and how much or how good of a drum set could you have bought 4 years later by saving that money, right? But that's not the case. The case is he just doesn't care either. So-
I'm in the same situation with my drum set because I've bought and sold drum set like twice in my life. So this one, even though I haven't touched it in over a year, I'm not getting rid of it because I know I'm going to buy another one. So.
Yeah, I definitely want to pick it up like later on in life, but right now I just don't have the space or time to do it. So gotta get rid of this one, and maybe later on I'll buy another one.
Since my mother passed away several years ago, I have spent more on a storage unit for the stuff that was in the house because I lived in New York and didn't want to deal with anything. I spent more in storing that furniture than my parents actually not paid, but they bought the house for here in Plano. Crazy,
That's
right?
crazy. Yeah.
Now,
That, I think you're getting ripped off.
Granted, a lot of that is inflation, right? They bought it in 1974, and the houses were valued a whole lot less back then. But if you actually take the real dollars, yeah, it's a lot of money. So get rid of your storage units, or invest in one, buy it, and just collect that check.
It's true. That's good money.
I don't want this to get uncomfortable, but the storage unit just made me think any other maybe lighthearted, funny mishaps that happened throughout the internship.
Other than my dog only barks when someone actually knocks on the door.
Yeah.
And like he comes walking in, like literally, I think I think someone could drive through the bottom of the house. And,
No, 100%.
And the dog would totally not move.
Yeah, I would just walk in and she'd just be sitting there looking at me on the couch. So not the best guard dog in the world, but super nice dog. Yeah, I like petting her.
No, really, there hasn't been anything awkward. It's been it's been traditional. It's been fun watching him go through what's going to happen. It's almost like watching an episode, a harmless episode of The Office, because you really do see these things that really do happen throughout a day in an office, right? It's no different than what you see here, like ridiculousness ensues.
Yeah. Frank, you rarely interact with, I hope you rarely interact with people Alex's age. Maybe when you come up to the office, some of our employees, but you learn anything about the youth or the culture, about sneakers, about lingo?
Look, I've been along with his brother on that ride from the beginning of time. Actually, I've seen the metamorphosis of that industry and how and what he's doing. which is really very fascinating. While I do still consider him the Al Bundy of all the kids that that I've seen grow up, it's in a good way. He's actually he's learning unbelievable life lessons about having a brick and mortar store and how to run a business, because it doesn't matter. Again, I say this 100 times. If you ask me, I'll tell you 100 times out of 100 that if you have a small business of any kind, you can run a small business of any kind, because it all has the same costs associated with it, whether it's taxes, rent, sales tax, or other franchise tax. It's all the same stuff. And you realize how critical organization is. So regardless of if he sticks with this particular retail item or he goes into software again, it's all the same thing, and knowing how to run that at that age is amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely a entrepreneur at heart. Very smart guy.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's 22.
What the hell?
Yeah, he started. He actually has he started did retail of shoes, and like at 16, made some money off of that. Started like didn't have to work a job because he was doing that, and then he started a software company. It's called a bot, like a sneaker bot. So it's like just a coded thing where auto inputs all your information to get shoes like fast on releases. So he did that with one company. I don't know if he wants me to tell him his life story right now, but it's okay. And then that kind of fell apart. Like, how business goes. People get jealous. Stuff doesn't work.
Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. He got some experience out of that enterprise, and then he moved into a second enterprise in a similar scenario, which actually was very lucrative, did really well, but he absolutely learned the space. He made contacts in that industry, and he used that as a building block to create this. When we say sneakers, it is high end.
Yeah, like $400 for.
Yeah. High end drops. It's real legitimate, equipment. He's got great ratings, and learning how to monetize that and to promote that and market that.
Yep.
is the same in almost any industry. So it's fascinating that he's doing it, and proud of him for getting that off the ground.
Yeah, it's actually right next to here, so stop by anytime you want.
What? Yeah, what is it?
Sneaker Haven.
Okay.
Yep.
I might
Mockingbird.
go there. Is there anything under $400?
Yeah,
just like
if you want like
Jordan
dunks
or dunks. Or...
Yeah, we have like every dunk you could think of. For like $200, $300.
So Alec, I'm looking for a gift for my partner's 16-year-old brother. He's a Nike head.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
How much you trying to spend?
Keychain. How about a keychain?
Probably like $200.
$200. I can get there's some good dunks for $200 that he would like, I think.
Okay.
Around that range.
Let's talk after this.
All right, yeah. Stop by anytime too.
Eraser maybe. Sneaker. How about just like a plastic cover for a shoe?
Yeah, that would probably be $200 there.
A cover?
No, I'm just
giving you. I go through so much in a day that I try to figure out what's actually going to be fun, what's going to be relevant. The stock market right now is just beyond belief that I literally am not even watching it because it's run so hard and so fast, and I can't make heads or tails of it. So I don't even want to talk about the market right now. The trip up to the Cape was fun. Again, it was a matter of people who you know and you've experienced life with. I went to go visit my friend Mike, who I worked with at Merrill Lynch, which was the company I was at right before I went independent and started my own firm. And even though we don't see each other, I think I haven't seen him in probably 5 years face to face, it was just fun to fall right back into the same rhythm. And I hear that that's difficult for a lot of people, but I just it was so comfortable. My wife was so blown away by all the people that I haven't seen but lived up there, and how friendly we were as if we had just seen each other, the day before, and how people would go out of their way to get together. I was like, that's just what you do with your friends, and it just blows me away that other people don't have those relationships. I
agree. I have the same thing. I think as you get older, your friendships have to kind of be that way if you want a good number of friends that aren't in your immediate vicinity that you can see all the time. I mean,
yeah. So I don't think we'll put this on the pod, but I do want to tell a fun story for a minute. Buddy of mine, Chris Willis, I've known Chris for a real long time, probably like 20 years now or so. And he said, so Frank, and he knows my wife. He actually was very surprisingly instrumental in us getting married because she was like, I'm never getting married again. That's it. And she talked to Chris, and Chris walked her through his scenario about me, like how long he's known me and what he thinks about me. And she fell for it. And so she did it. But we got to see Chris for the first time face to face. And we're at his place. He goes, so what did you guys get for COVID? And I said, well, her, right? You know, it's like, yeah, my wife she got into gardening. I got a new brother. And I'm like, what? He was like, no, not like a half brother or anything, like a full, honest to God, older brother that we had no idea about. And it was 23andMe. And so the guy had some issues. He had blood work done. He took a 23andMe test, and it linked him to other people that had taken the test, which was his like uncle, I guess. Turns out that Chris's parents, before they got married, he was in the military, got pregnant. And they didn't, it's New England. They didn't want anyone to know about it. And so she went away. She had the kid. She gave it up for adoption. And then like a year later, they get married. They have Chris, his sister, younger sister. And like 23andMe, like a guy reaches out via email at one point and he like blew it off thinking it was spam. And then he gets a phone call. And now he's got to address it. So he's literally going through the processing this with me while we're on the trip. And I'm like,
that's a crazy. Yeah, that's.
Wait, so the parent never told him?
No. So they knew, and they didn't say anything until he found out on his own.
Wow.
And
That's
now the parents are divorced, right? They were divorced for like 10 years. And the father's like, I wanted to tell you guys the whole time. Holy shit.
That's something that you should probably tell.
Yeah.
eventually.
So that's why I was like, don't record this. But like, I've still been trying to process this for him.
I would get like a half
can you
brother,
imagine?
but a full brother is.
Yeah, that's a
And not knowing for
full
50 years.
brother. Now Chris is very eccentric. I love him to death, but he's like, look, just because we have this one big secret, I don't want to hear about what your life was like. I don't want to hear about past issues or problems. It's like we've had enough.
Yeah.
Big surprises. So why don't we just like welcome to the family and keep all your shit to yourself? I got enough shit to process on my own.
Yeah. That's the best way to go about it.
I was like, holy shit. Anyway, so yeah, that was fun. That was fun. That was fun to take in on my vacation. The good news though was that it was like that kept me from like wanting to kill everybody in Massachusetts that was like, trying to jump in front of the car or being really rude and asshole-ish like they do in Taxachusetts.
Yeah.
But it was it was gorgeous scenery. Everything about Massachusetts, beautiful place, but the people fuck it all up.
Yeah. People suck in there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Two of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. Better than anything that I've ever seen on film, camera. We have like Caddo Lake in East Texas, beautiful lily pad, Spanish moss, gorgeous water, cypress trees. And then Massachusetts, Cape Cod, gorgeous, like 3-masted sailboat, beautiful beach, but the people were in everything.
Yeah,
they're horrible.
Let's talk some headlines.
Yeah.
Just because I think these will get some traction. You can just have thoughts. Biden administration canceled $39 billion of student loans for almost 1 million borrowers.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's that's a drop in the bucket of all the student loans that are out there. I have mixed feelings about student loan cancellation. I do feel that higher education costs are completely unreasonable.
Yes.
However, I also feel that the government and the taxpayer, the blue-collar worker who didn't go to college, shouldn't have to bear the burden of the people that did make those decisions. So I'm torn on it. I get it, but I don't see how that's showing anybody responsibility. This is just another one of those fringe benefits that I feel is kind of a violation of ethics.
Well, I mean, the Supreme Court just
I don't like the politicization of them either, though. I don't.
Yeah, of course.
So.
But not even talking politics. I think the argument for this is that, hey, we bail out companies, we bail out industries, we bail out. This is not even a bailout. It's a kind of investment in society, just like any other entitlement.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is it is an entitlement, and if you really want to get to the root problem, you need to go directly to the universities and figure out
Exactly.
what does the unit cost? Like, what is the actual production of somebody that graduated from these different universities? And if it's the same, if you're getting the same work, and I think you're going to see a lot with the propagation of these large language models, but if you're 5 times as efficient using the tools that we now have in our arsenal, like, is a $200,000 a year degree really worth it? I don't know.
I mean, it's got to be more affordable. This is obviously, the timing of it is just, obviously you do this before an election cycle. It is not addressing the root cause. So I agree with you there. I mean, because I think college, like, I see value in college, but the cost of it, I would say, if you want to be in multiple, like in the industry I'm in, you just move to a city maybe to get that experience you would get in a college for not paying for it. But I think for a lot of Americans, going to college is when they meet people with different viewpoints, when they grow a lot, and people we need that. Like, we should not encourage people not to go to college because college is stupid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, I mean, the whole idea of higher education is that you should be learning something, right? And if you're learning something about Taylor Swift as an elective, like, what's the point of that, right? I don't know. I think we need to really start focusing on what these electives are kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't think that I'd want to pay $70,000 for my kids to take some of these different electives.
Yeah, 100%. Like, all my friends freshman year, some are taking a class called dance theory, which, like, you just learn about dance, but you're paying $2,000 for it. And then I'm taking the class I literally have to take, or they won't let me move on, is astronomy. And that's, like, another $2,000. So it's also, like, there definitely needs to be a change in, like, all this they call it gen ed. It's just all the gen eds that are just, like, classes you don't need that they make you take just to fill out, like, how much money you're paying for it. I also agree with you on the connection part. My friend goes to Harvard, and the story he tells me of all the people he knows and, like, meets there is actually, like, it's like a different world. It's crazy. So that's, like, definitely, with some universities like that, it's definitely, like, just on the connections alone, like, you're set up pretty well. But connections is definitely a big part of college still. But I definitely agree with, like, I think the price of college has gone up so much even the past 20 years. It's crazy how much it costs now just for, like, a basic education.
Yeah, I think this conversation, it's all about the cost of it, because we wouldn't have this. A liberal arts education and like the Western model of liberal arts education has general ed for a reason. I think people should have to take astronomy, have to take dance theory, but not pay that much for it, because it exposes them to the amount of philosophical growth you get from taking a class like astronomy, or the amount of sociological, cultural growth you would get. I've learned so much about myself, or about people who are not like me, or about the universe through all those classes you just mentioned. But then you put that price tag on it and it seems stupid. I think people should be able to take Taylor Swift class. That's what college is for. The degree is the degree. I think, like, in my opinion, if you're trying to do a trade, you learn that trade, or if you're trying to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer. But if you're getting a degree,
I agree with you when it comes to, a general education I think is going to be more important than ever, because, like, as we heard yesterday, as we talked about yesterday, learning how to think is so important moving forward. You're going to need to know a little, but you could find out a lot based on some of this technology that we have. But learning how to actually think and learning how to do that research and figure out that technology and that information is critical, and that does require for the vast majority of people, a good general education. I agree with you there. I still think that the costs are prohibitive. And let's talk about the real issue, which is like what it's actually going to do. Like how many people come on board, what, in September? Is it in September? So if you look up online there, how many people still have to now start paying their bills? Do they know where to send it? How long has it been, right? Do you know where to send it? Do you know how much you owe? Obviously going online and figuring that out, but there's a lot of lazy people out there that are not going to do that, and their credit scores are going to suffer because of it. And it's a lot,
37 million.
Of money. When people start paying that back, that's like a car payment, right? So what's going to suffer for that? They're not going to be spending anymore. And that's when you can see this recession really start to take hold, because that's a lot of money. 37 million student loan borrowers. That's not, they owe 37 million. That's 37 million borrowers.
Yeah.
Right?
The average, I forget the average, but it's high.
Yeah. So that's that I think is going to probably start hitting just about the same time that the the commercial real estate problems will start. It was interesting. I don't know if we're going to talk about it a little later, and maybe we'll focus in deeper on it. But Mark sent me an article yesterday from maybe the Washington Post, maybe the New York Post. I don't remember which one it was, but it showed all of these commercial buildings in New York City and how empty they are, and how some of these companies are handing the keys back. And that's going to continue to happen. And that's going to continue to get worse because, these buildings that are being handed back aren't brand new. So, you might have a Class A building that's turning into a Class B building, and then try to refinance that lower grade of building, lower capitalization table. You're looking at some pretty big problems. Today, Goldman Sachs missed on their revenues based on taking in some charges from real estate. So, you're going to see that start to happen on the commercial side. Then you're going to have the student loans that are coming due and people that need to pay those back. I'm sure there'll be some workouts on both sides, but that just goes to show you that there's less money that's going to be spent chasing these goods, which, in theory could help, but we'll see. We'll see.
That's wild. Yeah, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think that I was looking at like who's going to take care of these empty buildings. Like if you don't own it anymore, but there are people that still have leases, right? Because these buildings, even though that the building may not be under new ownership, there are people that still have leases that are still going in there every day and working, whether the building, it's not like the building is totally empty, right? Yeah. So you need somebody that's going to take over the janitorial staff. So I'm like, who can I call at these big banks that have the most exposure and see who they're using to keep all of this infrastructure moving, right? Yeah. Like who's the janitorial staff that has the actual keys to the building, right? Let's invest in that company. Yeah. See, there's always a way to make money. You just have to that's right. You just have to figure out who is it that's going to be the ultimate beneficiary, Yeah.
So then that changes and then you pivot.
Yeah. Then it gets over bloated, and then you see like a come in. Have you seen recently? Did you take a look at freight container costs coming over from India and China? The costs are actually below where they were before the pandemic started. It was like, it got up to like $20,000 a container coming in from China, and now it's down below $2,000 a container again.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Huge glut, like over hiring and shipping companies. So now there's all these people competing. There's like a lot of new truck drivers, but now they don't need as many. So there's this huge dislocation.
It's the pendulum, right?
Yeah. The pendulum swings. So yeah, we had a lot of interesting things happening, but it's rolling. You're going to see these things continue to happen, and maybe we just churn sideways for a while until we get caught up. And I don't know. I've kind of given up trying to figure it out.
Always going to be an issue.
I don't know if you have much to say about this, but it's a hot topic. Netflix removing its basic ad-free plan. Move comes shortly after Netflix introduction of its cheaper ad-supported option. Netflix has begun rolling out its password sharing policy, pushing freeloaders to pay for their own accounts. Ooh. The only reason I bring this up is because it makes me think of the strikes in the industry, and the strikes are spearheaded by, actors and writers wanting more residuals from companies like Netflix, who have totally destroyed the model of distribution in the past 10 years.
I think what I find the most fascinating about this is that I saw this happen once before, and how could these people that are complaining now that made so much money, like the creators of Friends, I saw them, oh, well, we just need, now that it's on streaming, we're not getting paid, I'm like, didn't you make enough money?
Yeah, millions and millions of
Yeah,
dollars.
but really, if you take a look, so my very first foray when I went independent in, say, 2003 or so, I had an office in New York City on 71, I think it was at 1271 Broadway. So it was like literally Broadway and 47th Street. And I shared an office with an accountant and a business manager. And this business manager worked with a lot of talent in New York. So I learned what the difference was between a business manager and an agent. And ended up meeting a lot of really cool people and got to date some actresses. That was fun. But anyway, long short story is that like Horseshack was one of the agents. Like it was the manager actually managed Horseshack, right? And this is right around the time that the guy from, was it Dustin something Diamond, I guess? Yeah, from Saved by the Bell. They were doing this like, boxing match, this celebrity boxing match that they were going to do against each other. And I was like, how is it possible that a Horseshack has to like stoop to this level? And it all turned out that when cable came out, all those contracts from Gilligan's Island and all these people from all these comedies and these shows that were on television no longer got residuals because cable is not network television. And so the industry adapted, and now it adapted again because streaming isn't the same as cable.
Yeah.
How did I not see this coming? Like,
Yeah.
Well, like, do you really want me to feel bad for
So
you?
here's the thing, right?
I really don't.
You don't need to feel bad for the people who do make millions, which is a upper echelon. But for example, like composers or, the people in the long ass credits you see after a movie or a show that are not the stars, that are not the people earning that. Before, right, if I composed a song and it got used in a TV show or a movie, every time it ran on TV or cable, you would get that residual check, and that's how you made your money. That's how you kept money coming in. That just doesn't exist with streaming, and it's still the same base rate you're getting paid. So yeah, I don't know how they're going to do this.
I know. Like I feel bad that they're not making the same money they made before. But like everyone's going to have to adapt, and they're probably the first people that have to, right? Because the content that they're getting, they still are creative, and they're going to find a way to make money. I mean, I'm getting sick of seeing the stuff that I'm seeing on TV. I'm not going to go forever with like wanting to watch reruns either. And the houses are going to have to figure out a more equitable way to do it. But this is part of the process, unfortunately, right? It's the same thing with auto worker strikes and airline strikes. It's part of the process. So hopefully they'll fix it. But maybe this time, you people, listen to me. Maybe you say that no matter what medium it's on, we get paid this amount of money. What do you think?
Let's go. We got a little commie over here.
I don't get it. I mean, it's so obvious, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the language is hard to figure out. I don't know, but whatever.
Also, speaking of strikes, I think UPS workers are on a strike too.
Yep.
That's a big thing. I think 5 workers died this summer because there's no AC.
Yeah,
in the
there's
vans.
no AC in the freaking cars.
Yep. So that's been a big thing too. They've been on strike, and I think they're getting paid, I don't know, $17 an hour, but then the full time gets paid $100,000 a year. So it's just like a big gap between part time and full time.
I feel like I'm paying you too much. You get air conditioning.
I know I do get AC. Yeah.
Yeah, UPS strikes. It's wild. I mean, a lot of like I'm pretty sure USPS and UPS, all these couriers have adapted to a pseudo like Amazon model too, where you have to, it's like gig and you have to use your own vehicle.
Mm.
You know, it's fascinating, and this is pre-public, pre-UPS public. It was actually at your dad's old house when we were growing up. There was one of the sisters was dating a UPS driver, and he had the best job in the history of the world. Like you have this truck, you fill this truck up, and when you're done, and you still get paid for the full shift.
Yeah.
That's obviously the pendulum swung, right? So now they have to fight for their rights, to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So how about those, like how many years in a row have federal mail trucks not had air conditioning, right?
That's true. Yeah. Very true.
I have a good relationship with our mailman. His name is Donis. He's great. And every time I see him, he's wearing, they bid. I didn't realize that they actually bid on their routes. It's like, you get to choose.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
You get to choose which route you can try to choose. But he's always he's got a little towel around his neck, a little wet towel. He's like, I get up early and then so it's interesting that they've got their protocols and they know what they're doing too. But yeah, it's been a hot year.
Yeah. 107 this week. I went to Montana to see my dad for like 4 days, and it was so beautiful. It was like 60 degrees out there, beautiful weather. I came back here. First day I came back, it's like 105. And I'm like, I can't deal with this heat anymore. It's horrible. Like I get in my car and like my back burns from like just sitting down.
I'm so going camping in Uvalde, so hotter than here. Saturday overnight. Wish me luck. Pray for me, or say a Freemason prayer.
You're going camping somewhere hotter than here?
Yeah.
Why do you hate yourself?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't. I'll tell you off.
When I lived in the Northeast and I lived on a boat, and it was awesome. I had this 1950 42-foot wooden yacht that I lived on for a while. It was awesome. That was, of course, much younger man. God loved me for being able to pull up with that kind of stuff. But whenever I decided I was going to move back onto the boat after a relationship didn't work out, my friends were like, why do you hate yourself so much? I was like, what do you mean? Like, haven't you gone through enough winters in the cold winters on a boat?
Not seem fun.
Why don't you just move into the apartment we give you? And so I did that instead. Yeah. So that was good. Why do you hate yourself so, Hill? Why do you hate yourself so much?
Yeah. Switching gears.
Yep.
Lottery is something we haven't talked about. The Powerball jackpot soared to an estimated 900 million without a winner from Saturday's drawing. Still third largest prize. Tax bill is 24%.
Wow.
So maybe
Buy
just
a ticket.
rephrase what I said, because I think people would watch that.
So winning the lottery is like any other exit event, monetary event, lawsuit, settlement, some sort of gift from parents, estranged uncles that leave you tons of money, whatever. If you didn't make that money yourself, it's so easy to blow it. I got $1 million, $200,000 for a vacation house or condo sounds great. I didn't have it anyway. Meanwhile, the person that donated that money or gave you that money probably ate cat food trying to save it up to leave it for somebody. This is no different than pretty much any other monetary event. It gets spent quickly because people have never seen it. They don't get used to it. They feel guilty for having it for whatever reason. They buy a gym. They do something stupid with the money because they just have never handled it before. They're not comfortable seeing it. I tell anybody that gets a huge chunk of money, don't do anything with it. Don't tell anyone you have it. Get used to looking at it every day on the screen till you actually realize that you have that money. Mm-hmm. And then you'll be so kind of greedy for it that you won't blow it. Otherwise, you're going to blow it all. So yeah, pay the 24%, hopefully you've already got a financial advisor you like, but you know, if you ever have an exit event like that and it's more money you've ever seen before, you need to get used to it and find somebody to help you not do the things that you're about to do.
How do you spend that much money though? What is that? 24% of 900 million is like, what is that? I don't even know. I don't know.
So
like 700, 600
whatever it
million?
is, it doesn't matter because you weren't like, you know, if you won $30 million or $3 million, you're going to be unhappy with whatever that tax bill was going to be.
Yeah.
But if you would have won 25% more and you had to pay that tax bill, you still would have that money. Just pay the taxes. Who cares? It's more money than you were ever supposed to have.
Yeah, I'm saying
Give
like,
the
how would you
government their
spend that
cut.
much money in your lifetime?
Yeah.
That's-
Give the government their cut and walk away.
Yeah,
You know?
that would be crazy.
So this is a good topic. This reminds me of a conversation I had this morning with one of my clients. He, God bless him, he has been solidly socking money away, saving money, and he's gotten to the point where he has saved up enough money for his emergency savings, and now he's bulking up his checking account a little bit so that he doesn't feel guilty dipping into his savings. And you know, he owes some money to a family member, and you know, he was hemming and hawing about, do I pay him now? Do I pay him later? And what we all forget is that when we're in trouble and we need money, you know, it can't come fast enough. And you are begging, borrowing, asking out of the kindness of your heart to somebody who had the money, can you please loan me the money? But when you have it in your pocket to pay back, why does it take so long to pay it back? Right?
It's hard seeing that money go.
It's hard to see that money go, but guess what? It was really hard for that person who loaned you the money.
Yeah.
Give them the money back right when you can. Just be square and save your money. But gosh, getting that monkey off your back, that person that you loaned the money to, even if you know or you think they weren't expecting it back, you're going to feel a lot better. I remember paying off my student loan. That was the first one. That was my big bill. And as much as I hated seeing that money leave my account, within a couple of days, I was cool with it. And I knew I didn't have a monkey on my back anymore. Get rid of that monkey off your back. If somebody loans you money and you can afford to pay it back, pay it back. Pay it back now. Because they were there for you when you needed it right then and there. Give it back to them.
Hey, thanks for watching The Merge. We've got a ton more stuff for you to watch on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Check us out.